Hey, what's up everybody? Today we're going to talk about motivation, but before I get into that, I wanted to give you guys just a quick update of what's been going on with me. Recently, as you guys know, I do have a couple businesses that I run, and they've been kind of slowing down and everything else. I've been having a lot of free time and just doing primarily with John's business. So I've been kind of thinking back and forth what I want to do with my spare time, because I do have a little bit of it now. So I figured that I'm going to start a business. So just to give you a quick update, what I'm going to be doing is importing and exporting of vehicles, pick them up at the auction. I'm going to grow that capital to then proceed to reinvest that money in foreclosures. So you can go to the auction steps in the courthouse and you can pick up houses there for usually about 35 to 50 cents on the dollar. Probably 50,000 bucks is more than enough for you to pick up a nice decent home. You can put another $10,000 into it, flip it, and make a really nice profit of like $30,000, $40,000. So that's kind of what I'm doing right now. So as this thing moves along, I'm probably going to give you guys updated and maybe show you some of the tricks of how you go about doing this. I'm learning this new business. This is not something that I'm super educated on. But as it proceeds and progresses and the success of it increases, I'll be sure to share those things with you. Alright, so now to the topic of motivation. This is something that I personally have struggled with, and I'm sure that a lot of you have. I received a couple of emails which are requesting, hey, how do you keep yourself motivated? Like, what did you do? How do you do it? And I'll be honest with you, that's something you have to figure out by yourself. That's something internally you have to do. So the way that at least I did it is anytime that I feel not motivated or things are pushing forward, I try to focus on what my goal is. Now, if you don't have a goal or you don't have something that you want and it has to be attainable, then your motivation and your drive is just not going to be there, because you're going to be like, oh, that's just too hard, that's going to take forever, and I got to do all these different things. So what you want to start off with are goals that you can attain on the short term, set some mid-term type goals, and then some long-term goals. So for example, my business I'm starting out, my motivation right now is to learn as much as I can, because I have to get a couple licenses, I have to get some insurance, liability or something insurance I have to get. I have to figure out what the license is to export and import. I have to make sure I got my contacts in the countries I'm going to be exporting and importing from set up and established, and we have good communication, how we're going to basically pay each other and everything else. So those are my short-term goals. Once I have that done, which is going to be something that's going to take probably about a month and a half to finalize, but once I get that done, then I can move on to my midterm goals, which is obviously going to the auctions, buying the vehicles, selling them, and actually executing the transaction. And my long-term goals would be that as that business grows, I can take the capital that's been generated and then invest in other assets, whether it's buying real estate, buying whatever else, and that's something I can do probably 1, 3, 5 years down the road. So that's a way that at least I keep myself motivated, just giving myself short-term goals that I know I can attain, and then obviously have more difficult, like medium level, and then having hard goals that are going to take time for me to achieve. Now, for all of you guys, it may not be goals. It may be something that you want. It could be something, literally something physical. So it could be you want the, I don't know, new Ferrari, or you want the NSX that's coming out in 2015, or you want to buy the GTR from Nissan, or whatever it is that you want to do. But you have to figure out exactly what it is that you truly want. Do I want to get a car? Do I want to get a house? Do I want to have $10,000 in my bank account? Do I want to be able to buy a house in 5 years? I want to put more money aside on my 401k. I want to start investing. There's a ton of different things that you can come up with in your personal life that's going to give you the motivation, the drive to help you achieve those things. Now, once you get your motivation, your goals, and everything set up so you know what you're going to work with or what you're going to work towards, what you have to figure out is what vehicle is going to get you there. So then you have to think about a business. You have to think of, well, what do I want to get into? In today's era, you can start a business with basically almost no money. There was a story not too long ago, I would say a couple of years back, where a gentleman actually traded a paperclip, something as simple as this, all the way up, transaction and bartering, everything else, all the way up to a Porsche Boxster and eventually a Cadillac Escalade. And he did it specifically through Craigslist. He would just trade this paperclip for something bigger, somebody would trade him for it, and that just kind of evolved and escalated where he ended up with a laptop, and a laptop he traded for something else, and eventually he got the car. So he started with no money in business, and by selling the vehicles, he probably would generate like $20,000. So you can take that money and do something else with it. So you guys have to figure out what it is that you want to do. eBay is a great way for you guys to make a little bit of money. I know you can go to secondhand stores, for example, like if you go to affluent areas, for example, here in Orlando, it'd be Windermere, Lake Mary, and Winter Park. If you go to, for example, Salvation Army there, or you go to Goodwill or maybe a Ross, anything like that, you can probably pick up some really high-end stuff that people donate because they're affluent. It would be brand name. You can pick it up for pennies on the dollar, and you can go and sell it on eBay for a couple bucks of profit. And you can kind of do that until you build enough capital, and then you can go into whatever business you want to go to. Also, in the motivation aspect of things, of the goals, you can also have multiple businesses. So for example, as you notice, part of my goal is to have a vehicle import-export business, but my larger goal is to have 2 businesses. So I'm going to start off with the easier one, the one that takes less capital for me to do. I'm going to start that business with a partner, and I'm going to eventually have that business fund the other business so that I got 2 businesses running and just cross-funding each other. So that's some of the tips I can tell you guys to keep yourself motivated. Once you figure out what it is that you want to do in the business and you have everything laid out, then the next thing you have to do is basically become educated. So you have to start researching. For example, I didn't know anything about import-export, so I had to look into how to import-export, licenses that I need. I had to call the state of Florida to basically get some information. They passed me down to the DMV down in Miami. So I've been in phone calls most of the day today. But once you get your husk or your skeleton in place, you have to basically start doing the research to figure out, okay, how do I start this whole business to make sure that this whole thing goes to fruition? Once you've completed that, then you have to decide, okay, do I have enough capital to do it on my own? Do I need a partner? And if I do not have the capital, who can I get it from that would be that would trust me enough to give me the capital? For example, in my case, I went with a partner because my partner is the one that's got all the contacts in the countries that we're going to be doing business at. He's also very busy because he's the director for Wyndham. So the thing is that I'm going to probably be the one running most of the business, and he's just basically going to help me out with liquidating the assets. So I'll be the one acquisition, make sure all the fees are paid, make sure I take the cars down to where they got to be exported from, and then he makes sure that our contact in the countries we're exporting from receives the vehicles, liquidate it, and they go ahead and pay us. So that's going to be his half of the business. So I hope this gives you guys a lot of insight into how I keep myself motivated. Hopefully even some insight on how to start your own little business. If you got any questions, send me an email in my inbox. You know, I haven't been really good at getting back with them, but I do read them when I do get the chance, and that's why I made this specific topic, because one of the requests was about motivation. So I hope this helps you guys out, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.